evening and welcome to this edition of News Leader on 6. I'm Jim Fuller.
And I'm Jenny English. In tonight's news, Heather Mathis from News Channel 5 Nashville will tell us more about their weather forecasts, and we'll have video from the Tullahoma Sports Council's Hall of Fame induction ceremonies featuring the 1978 state champion golf team. We'll have these stories and more on tonight's News Leader on 6.
The wait is finally over. The all-new redesigned Ford Ranger is back at Russell Barnett Ford of Tullahoma. Stop and test drive one today at Russell Barnett Ford of Tullahoma on Highway 55, home of the lifetime powertrain warranty. And remember, my question is, why buy anywhere else?
My wife Jackie has always been the life of the party, but things changed when she couldn't be as active anymore.
They told me I needed a double knee replacement.
It's not as big a deal as it used to be, but she still needed to go to rehab.
I was amazed at how good the therapists were at Life Care. They took really good care of me.
They took excellent care of her, and now she's back doing the things she loves, and that makes everyone happy.
Life Care Center of Tullahoma wants you to get active and live well.
Welcome back. Meteorologist Heather Mathis from News Channel 5 Nashville was the guest speaker at this month's Tullahoma Rec Department Lunch and Learn event. In this segment, Heather spoke about how she prepares a weather forecast.
There are many things that we can use, many tools that we have to be able to accurately predict what's going to happen in the future. So we use mostly our computer models. There are dozens, thousands of different computer models and different levels of those computer models that we can look at to be able to tell you what's going on with the weather. We can look at the upper atmosphere, the mid levels of the atmosphere. We can look at what's going on in the surface. We can look at the energy that's building in. We can look at precipitation, winds, all of those things. It just depends on what our weather scenario is, what I'm looking at with that data to be able to tell what's coming. We also look at observations. Obviously, we talked about Storm 5 Titan having real-time observations, but it is good to be able to say, here's what's currently happening, and here are where our boundaries sit, here's what is being observed at the moment, and then here's what is being predicted in the future, to be able to use both of those things to interpret what we think will happen. So weather balloons are launched every day by the National Weather Service. It's basically a gigantic balloon that has a sensor on it. And it goes all the way up, and it gets a profile of the atmosphere. That gives us a good indication of what's happening currently from the surface all the way to the top of the atmosphere, and that also tells us what can happen in certain weather events. Whether it's snow, whether it's severe weather, it gives us a good idea. So we look at that a lot of times depending on the scenario. So we also have Doppler radar, which you'll see in our truck too, and that's what we show you on TV all the time. Every time we've got the green, the orange, the red, and we're talking about how hard it's raining, that's our Doppler radar. That also gives us in real time, I call that nowcasting instead of forecasting, because the weather is actually happening at that point and we're forecasting it from there. So, top of there. If I had $1 for every time someone said, it must be nice to have a job where you can be wrong all the time. You'd be rich. How many of you are going to say that to me today? So, and here's the thing, and we openly admit it. Meteorology is not a perfect science. We cannot tell, nobody can tell what's really going to happen in the future. I always say this to kids, especially those who are old enough to really love March Madness and basketball. Have you ever tried to predict the future of a sports game? It's very, and I'm like, do you ever get it perfectly right with the score? No. It's very hard to predict the future, although we have a lot more tools, I feel like, than most people do when they're trying to predict sports. But we are actually very accurate. Technology has come a very long way. But if you look at a 7-day forecast, you guys have seen that on TV before, right? The next 7 days, here's what we think is going to happen. A 7-day forecast is accurate about 80% of the time. Once you get it down to a 3 to 5 day forecast, it's pretty accurate between 90 to 95%. It's always changing. That doesn't mean the day of an event we can't say, now that we're able to launch a weather balloon and we actually see what's going on in the atmosphere, doesn't mean we can't tweak something. But we are very good at being able to say, yes, we know a cold front is going to come through. Will that cold front have all the ingredients necessary to be able to produce tornadoes? We think so. We are able to see X, Y, and Z that can line up for severe weather, but will that severe weather actually manifest? That's something that's kind of up to the day of, because we can't accurately predict the future. We can say with a lot of certainty there's a very good chance we'll get severe storms today. Will a tornado drop from the sky? That's still where we have some learning to do and technology to grow to be able to accurately predict that. A lot of people ask, well, what's going to happen, and they'll say 10 days from now, 14 days from now, the end of the month. And I'm like, I don't know. And no one can tell you. Even though the Weather Channel may try to tell you what will happen at the end of the month, they don't know either. I think it's AccuWeather will put out a 30-day forecast. Don't believe it. Please don't. It can't be accurate by any means. Once you get past 10 days, our computer models are there to use equations and variables that we know can happen, but the atmosphere is always changing. So those variables will change. And until you get it in a certain timeline between 7 days or closer, the more accurate you're going to get. Beyond 10 days, it's very hard for those models to accurately predict what's going to happen in the future. So while we can tell you trends, we can say, looking at long-term trends, it looks like we will be warmer than usual or that we will be colder than usual. We can't say it's going to be 68 degrees.
Stay with us. We'll be right back with more News Leader on 6.
When your family suffers the loss of a loved one, the caring and compassionate staff at Tullahoma Funeral Home and Coffee County Funeral Chapel are standing by to assist you in every way possible. We are proud to support local industry and offer only Batesville caskets. Many funeral homes don't own or operate a crematory. We utilize the only crematory in Coffee County. Your loved one never leaves Coffee County. We can accommodate any need and any budget. Consider our complete pre-need service to remove this burden from your family during their time of grief. Lock in today's low costs and protect from inflation. Tullahoma Funeral Home and Coffee County Funeral Chapel. Our family caring for your family.
Welcome back. The 1978 Tullahoma High School golf team was inducted into the Tullahoma Sports Council Hall of Fame last Saturday night. Master of Ceremonies Scott Shastine makes the introduction, followed by comments from team member John McCord.
It's time now for inducting members permanently to the Tullahoma Sports Council Hall of Fame. We begin with a team, the second team to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, led by legendary coach Dale Phelps, who won 4 golf state titles during his golf coaching career. The 1978 Tullahoma High School boys golf team, undefeated state champions, must be considered among the greatest teams in Tullahoma sports history. James McCord, John McCord, Clay Usselton, Scott Copeland, and Keith Scott dominated the regular season with an 18-0 record. They beat Fayetteville in the district tournament by 6 shots, raising their record to 30-0. James McCord and John McCord were named All-District. They beat Notre Dame in the regional tournament by 7 shots, raising their record to 33-0. Scott Copeland, James McCord, and Clay Usselton were named All-Region. Tullahoma took on Harding Academy, BGA, and Knoxville Halls in the state tournament, private schools that recruited their players. The Wildcats were tied for the lead with Harding Academy after the first day. Leading by 1 stroke entering the back 9 on day 2, the Wildcats battled windy, cold conditions to win the tournament by an amazing 14 shots. Some doubted this Tullahoma team, facing powerhouse private schools from Memphis, Nashville, and Knoxville, but not these 4 young Wildcats who said all season long they were going to go 36-0 and win the state championship. And they did. Clay was named the 1978 Tennessee Junior Player of the Year and a member of the All-State team, and Scott, James, and Clay were named All-Region. The 1978 state champions were rewarded with a trip to the convenience store located by Henry Horton State Park for some ice cream on their way home. Coach Phelps spending that money. Governor Ray Blanton proclaimed Monday, May 29, 1978, as Tullahoma High School Golf Day. An undefeated state champion, let's welcome the 1978 THS boys golf team to the Sports Council Hall of Fame.
Since I wasn't all region, I wasn't all state, I get to speak. Not true. First, I want to thank the Sports Council for this honor and for this event and for what they're doing for Tullahoma. Back when we played wooden clubs. Most people today, if you play golf, you don't know what a wooden club is, but we played wooden clubs, and we still have most of those clubs at home. But when we played four, and you counted four. You had four people on a team, and you counted everyone. So if somebody had a bad day, you're out. And today they play five, and they count four. Also, there was only one division back when we played. It was the state. I mean, there wasn't AA, AAA. And we got into battles against all these private schools that recruited players. And so at the state, it was all private schools and us. But when Scott came to the high school in 1978 as a freshman, we all knew and we all said, we're going 36-0. The biggest doubter of that person was my father. Y'all ain't gonna do it. He was the proudest one when we won the thing. But probably, you know, one of the things I gotta say about these guys, his daddy used to give us 3 balls for an event. And again, we played 18-hole matches. They played 9 a lot of times now. But he'd only give us 3 balls, and those were blotted balls. You could miss a shot and you'd cut it in half. And they all accused me of still having those balls up in my closet. And they were over today this morning. We did a radio show, calling show, thanks to Russ Barrett. And I still got some of those balls. Here's one of them. But all the people we've met over our lifetime of this game, it's a great game. But the friendships that we've made, but the friendship and the bond the 4 of us have and we're here is unsurpassable. It's the best. So thank y'all.
We'll be right back with more news after this.
It's not invoice. It's not MSRP. It's not Christmas Day, although it may feel like it. It's the lowest prices in Middle Tennessee, period. Get to Stan McNabb Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram or Stan McNabb Chevrolet Buick GMC Cadillac before these prices are gone forever.
All right, the cat's out of the bag at Carroll Street Liquor in Tullahoma. Now you know where to go if you're planning a get-together and want the ideal wine or spirit. Party planning can be stressful, but at Carroll Street Liquor you'll find everything you need. Mixers, gift sets, and all of your favorite spirit brands. So if you're feeling the pressure to pull off the ideal party, come to Carroll Street Liquor and select among the seemingly endless supply of wines, spirits, gift sets, and more. Your perfect party, it's in the bag with Carroll Street Liquors.
Welcome back. When children are removed from their homes out of concern for their welfare, they are usually brought to the Department of Children's Services offices to wait placement with a foster family. This wait can be several hours to a full day. These children often have nothing with them and are scared, lonely, hungry, and often in dirty clothing. Isaiah 117 provides a comforting home where these children instead can be brought to wait. It's a place that is safe with friendly and loving volunteers who provide clean clothes, smiles, toys, and snuggly blankets. At a recent Isaiah 117 fundraising dinner in Tullahoma, Kelly Lusk, investigations coordinator for the Tennessee Office of Child Safety for our region of the state, spoke about why she supports Isaiah 117.
When you're talking about children and what children need, it's real hard to put that in perspective. I can tell you as of Friday evening in South Central region, the 14 counties that we serve, we have 736 children in state custody. Now, folks, that may not mean much, but what you can do is look around this room and double it. That is how many babies, how many children are not in their own homes tonight. And of course, that's not all Coffee, Grundy, or Franklin County children, but I'm going to tell you something, it's a big portion of it. In the month of February, my staff in the 3 counties that are represented here tonight, guys, we laid our hands on almost 200 children. They didn't all enter foster care, but in some shape, form, or fashion, we had to make arrangements so that they could be in a safe setting where that they knew that they had somewhere to lay their head the next night, that they were going to get enough to eat, that they were going to be warm, and that they might actually get back up and get to go to the same school that they were at the following day. That's tough. There is not a person in this room that has not been around, seen, heard one of these children around them. You might not even have known it, but I bet you noticed something different the next day or two, maybe always wondered. These are your children. These are your children in your counties. These are in your communities, your churches. These are your children's friends, your grandchildren's friends. This is not, and I'm going to say this too, and I'm going to apologize to everybody. I'm not a public speaker. I am an investigator. That is what I do. Judge said differently. He said I could talk for hours, but that's not true either. Beg to differ. But what you need to know is that when we're talking about a place to bring children after they've been removed or when they can't go home, that's not just, I know everybody's got this dirty little kid running around in their head with barely any clothes on. I'm going to share a real quick story with you. We had a set of grandparents that were traveling I-24. It keeps me real busy, especially during Bonnaroo. This family was traveling. They were going to take their grandchildren on a trip. They had a fatal car crash right before the I-24, right before the Manchester exit down here. We had 3 little kids, and believe it or not, now they were seen at the hospital, but they had very few scratches or bumps or bruises or whatever. What do you think I did with those 3 children while their parents came from California to get them? You hadn't thought about that, have you? Where did they go? Would you want your grandbabies or your children to go sit at the jail, to go sit at the courthouse? Listen, our law enforcement, our courthouses, they treat us so well. They treat us the best that they can, but it's not a place for a child to be under any circumstances. So know in your hearts that it's not just those children that you think about on TV that have absolutely nobody. It could be your own at some given point in time. Now, we were blessed enough in that situation that our Child Advocacy Center opened the doors, and we were able to go there for the almost 2 full days. That's what it took, folks, to get them here. I don't have just an airport sitting, right out the door here. So I want you to really think about, it could be your own someday. You don't want to think about that, but it could. And where would you want them to be? And where would you want them to go?
We'll be right back in a moment with more News Leader on 6.
Russell Barnett Hometown Auto Rental has proudly served your auto rental for over 30 years. Check out this huge selection to choose from. Small car, mid-size car, full-size car, crossover vehicle, SUV, minivan, pickup trucks, 12 and 15 passenger vans. Whether big or small, Russell Barnett Hometown Auto Rental has them all. Stop by our 2 locations to serve you, Tullahoma and in Winchester. And remember, my question is, why rent anywhere else?
Here at Manchester Funeral Home, we know the importance of living and working in our local community because it's those families who we serve during their time of need honorably. We believe in supporting local business and offer only 100% Batesville caskets, the best in the industry and a driver of our local economy. If you want straightforward and fair pricing while working with the people you know, choose Manchester Funeral Home, serving your community since 1932. And pre-planning and pre-funding can be the best gift you ever leave your loved ones. Call us to pre-arrange. Manchester Funeral Home. Our family, caring for your family since 1932.
Welcome back. Tonight we bring you more from the Coffee County Young Republicans Candidate Forum for Coffee County General Sessions Judge. In this segment, the candidates comment on retaining the magistrate position in the General Sessions Court.
juvenile court magistrate position was recently created, which Stacy's mentioned. She has been in that position for about a year now. If you are elected to be the General Sessions Judge, you will have the power to choose whether that position continues or if you will hear those cases. First, it's a two-part question. First, do you intend to continue that magistrate program? And if so, how do you intend on going about filling that position as magistrate?
Well, we didn't know the questions before we got here, so I'm going to be the first to answer a very difficult question. The magistrate position is an important position. Ms. Lynch has done a good job in doing that. The magistrate, hard word to say, position is a part-time position. It's Monday afternoons, 2 to 4 hours, depending on the caseload, and we have 2 to 3 graduations a year. We graduate 15 to 20 people from the Safe Baby and Family Treatment Court a year. The position was started due to conflicts. It's hard for somebody going through treatment to come in and open up to a judge, especially ex parte without an attorney, and tell that judge things they're doing for fear of retribution. So that's what the position's for. The position makes recommendations to the judge, and the judge makes the rulings. I am in favor of the position. I would be in favor if I was fortunate enough to win for Ms. Lynch to remain for continuity purposes. The only reason I would eliminate the position would be is if we don't have enough money for treatment. It's a position that's about $35,000 a year that's coming out of treatment funds. If it comes down to having to choose that magistrate position versus providing services to keep people out of jail and to help families, I would make that hard decision. But for our family treatment courts, I'm in favor of it as long as we can afford it.
Obviously, I have a very unique perspective on the magistrate position since I've served in that role for the last year and a half. First, let me say the role of the magistrate is a lot more than just 2 to 4 hours on a Monday afternoon. The role of the magistrate is quite a lot more than that. It is every day of the week. It is something that I'm involved in where I'm a part of a team, and it's the team for the Family Treatment Court and the team for the Safe Baby Court. I take an active role in the staffing of these individuals' cases, and I know everything that happens in their treatment. I know everything that happens in their families. I know everything that happens in their lives, in their families. I actually developed the policies and procedures for the Family Treatment Court and for the Safe Baby Court. It is an ongoing process because this is something that is new for Coffee County. We also have an additional program that's coming. We're always looking at new things that need to happen for Coffee County. And the magistrate is the team leader for these courts. It is important that we educate our community. I go out and I speak to the community about substance abuse addiction, about how that affects our community, about how that affects the families. I participate and facilitate the meetings, the staffing meetings. I do all the orders. This is a proven model that works in Tennessee. We have 12 courts. It works in Missouri. I actually went over and I speak to the other courts, the other Safe Baby Court and Treatment Courts. So it is something that is extremely important, not just for conflicts, but also for the continuity for our families. It is the best interest of these children. It is the best interest of the families. It is extremely important to keep that. And I hope that you all realize how important that is. And I'm not speaking for me personally. I'm speaking for the good of the families of Coffee County. Thank you.
Again, I am fortunate in that I didn't get to go first on this one because I genuinely agree with both Ms. Lynch and Mr. Perry. It is an important position. The magistrate, certainly it's a new program, and I understand that there have been some growing pains, but it's not a ton of money that is being moved into that, and I think we can get some real good out of it for young people and families that are in danger. So this is something that if I am elected, I would want to sit down with everybody There's an old school of thought called management by walking around, and I believe in that. You listen to folks. You listen to the people that are doing the job instead of walking in on day one and going, I'm the judge and it's going to be this way. I believe it has to be this way because I have the authority to make it this way. That's not good management. So this is something that needs to be carefully looked at, studied. I would want to talk with all the other judges, the circuit judges, and Judge Ledsinger, and get a real understanding of the value that we're getting. But it's important. Family court, safe baby court, those things are very important. Did I get done? I made it before the red card.
You get to see something tonight that you don't see very often, and that is a lot of attorneys agreeing on stuff. And that's just not our job or our nature to do that. I agree wholeheartedly with what Mr. Perry said, most specifically. It is a great program, and for years we've said, any attorney who's worked juvenile at all, we've come into court. You get scheduled, you come into court for a hearing, they get in, why hadn't you done this treatment, or why haven't you done this? Well, we hadn't had it. We couldn't figure out how to get it, and DCS just gave us a list, and we weren't able to coordinate it, or we can't get there. And then we have to have the judge lecture everybody on working together and trying to get this done. So what the Safe Baby Court, I think, a good way to sum it up, it is a consolidation of services where the court can directly help supervise and make sure treatment gets there. It is wonderful for the families that need it, although it is a very small number of families where that really qualify under it. So it's a great program. If at all possible, it should be kept going. But ultimately, like Mr. Perry said, it has to be fiscally responsible and doable, and it can't take away from other functions that are just as important.
Stay with us. Your weather forecast is coming up next.
We're losing it, Doctor.
Not on my shift. Quickly, brush. Roller.
What a transformation. It's going to be okay.
Okay, nothing.
At Paintworks of Tullahoma, we specialize in domestic emergencies with Martin Senior Paints. You can be the paint doctor, too, when you treat your home with Martin Senior interior and exterior finishes.
Doctor, we've got another one.
Got you covered.
Paintworks of Tullahoma. Come see the paint doctor, Stat.
Keith Barnett here at Russell Barnett Ford of Winchester. Check out the 2018 Ford F-150 as low as $34,739. That's Russell Barnett Ford on 41A in Winchester, home of the lifetime powertrain warranty. And remember, my question is, why buy anywhere else?
Welcome back. We'll take a look at your weather forecast at this time, starting with your weather history on the state. Our record high was in 1981 at 76 degrees. The record low was in 1934 at 4 degrees. The average high on this day is 55 and the average low is 33. Partly cloudy weather in the forecast for tonight with a low of 31. Mostly cloudy weather expected on Friday with a high of 47 and a low of 28, and partly cloudy weather in the forecast again on Saturday with a high of 49 and a low of 35. And that's our news leader report for this evening. We invite you to join us each Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday at 6, 8, and 10 for News Leader on 6. You have a good evening.
Good night.
The record high on this day was in 1918 at 77 degrees. The record low was in 2002 at 12 degrees. Average high on this day is 56, and the average low is 34. Partly cloudy weather expected tonight with a low of 35. Partly cloudy weather in the forecast for Sunday with a high of 60 and a low of 47. Showers moving in on Monday with a high of 59 and a low of 55. And on Tuesday, rain in the forecast again with a high of 64 and a low of 58.